one of the strategies that I often talk about is name it to tame it. And I'll put it in the chat box. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. And it's something we often don't stop to do. And all it is notice it, right? So notice whatever is coming up, name it, right? Maybe it's tension in your chest, maybe it's frustration, whatever it is, name that feeling, allow it to be there as part of the human experience. So does it make sense that we're frustrated right now? Does it make sense that we're sad? Does it make sense that we're uncertain? Does it make sense that, you know, there are feelings that are coming up that are unfamiliar to us? Absolutely it does, right? How could those feelings not be coming up? But the next step is really important, and that's the nurturing it, or tending to it if nurturing doesn't sound good to you, and then allowing it to shift, right? So part of what happens, unfortunately, is where attention goes, energy flows. And we know that our brain's first and foremost concern is to make sure the body survives. So when there is uncertainty, when there's things that are unfamiliar, when there's powerlessness or a sense of loss of control, that is really prime fueling ground for our amygdala, which is our personal security guard, right? And that part of our brain is primarily focused on keeping us alive. So all of our energy, when there are things that are uncertain or unknown, becomes redirected to, you know, threat detection. And unfortunately, what happens is, you know, in the absence of us intentionally shifting and redirecting our energy, that's where it's going to go. That's where the news sends it when we listen to that stuff. That's where, you know, the information or lack of information sends us. So I think the name it to tame it is really important. So noticing it, naming it, allowing it, nurturing it, but also, you know, redirecting our attention to where we want it to be. You spoke, Kathy, about gratitude, fear, uncertainty, stress. All of that suppresses our immune function. So if that's what we're sitting in, if that's what we're looping in, and I'm not, please understand, I'm not minimizing your experiences. I know this is really hard. We've lost a lot of business. A lot of people have lost a lot of business. And the reality is, you know, things are going to change for people. So it's not to say, oh, let's just forget about that and pretend everything's rosy. But we can validate, you know what, right now is hard, it is uncertain, I am scared. We work with trauma. I work with, you know, horrific, unfathomable life experiences all the time. But what I tell my clients is if you sit in that sense of terror, fear, powerlessness, unfortunately, that's what's being actualized at a physiological, cellular, neurological level, emotional level, neurochemical level, right? And that's what is instructing our nervous system. Whereas if we acknowledge what we're feeling, we acknowledge the fear, we acknowledge, I don't know where my business is going to be next year. I don't know what this means for me. But then we redirect our attention, our energy flow to where we want it to be. Again, it changes what's happening. So gratitude is one of the strongest positive human emotions. And Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this, but they've done studies that show that in as little as 10 minutes a day, 2 to 3 times a day, for 4 days, practicing gratitude or positive elevating emotions increases our immune function by 50%. That is huge. That is huge. Fear also inhibits creativity. So it's great that you guys are being creative. You know, that's wonderful. And I think for some people, this is a time of connection, of rediscovering talents, of, you know, finding out who they are, who they want to be. But I think one of the biggest things that we can do for ourselves is be really, really intentional with where our mind is going. And if your mind is looping in, I don't know if I'm going to make it, right? Just like with my clients, sometimes it's looping in, I don't think I can live here any longer in this earth. I'll say, you know, the message you're sending yourself, be so mindful. Right? What is the message you're sending yourself? Is it helpful or hurtful? Is it moving you forward or keeping you stuck? Right? Is it bringing you closer to that intended outcome? And it is so powerful because it literally, like I said, is setting into place it's changing our DNA structure, right? It's changing our cellular biology structure. So powerful. And pairing with that, you know, so we're noticing the reality of what is happening. We're redirecting our attention and energy to, you know, the things we can control, which are the meaning we form of our experiences, what we focus our attention and energy on. But then we're also going to tend to our body and our nervous system, right? And when we build in strategies for grounding or emotional regulation, those are things that, again, are telling my brain and body when I practice, for example, gratitude, or I'm having fun, or I'm embracing a creative talent or hobby, I'm telling that amygdala part of my brain, shh, it's okay, right? I'm telling it is safe to slow down, calm down, be embodied, right? Which increases my ability to focus and